at one point when preparing for this speech, used Wikipedia. Well, more than that. All right, and if any of you didn't, it was probably because you figured it was unreliable. Well, I disagree. I say Wikipedia is a trustworthy and accurate source for information. The information on Wikipedia is just as accurate as from any other website. According to a study done by scientific journal Nature, Wikipedia is about as accurate as the Encyclopedia Britannica. A team of researchers was given an assortment of, it was like 50 articles from each of those. They weren't told where they were from. They were told to search for errors. They found 8 errors total, 4 from Britannica and 4 from Wikipedia. So Britannica has just as many errors. And in 2007, a PC Pro magazine, they did a study where their experts compared Wikipedia articles to their counterparts in Britannica and in Carta. And the Wikipedia articles were judged to be at least as accurate as their counterparts, in some cases even more so, although they were slightly less written due to the nature of Wikipedia. Similar test was performed by a German magazine called Stern, in which they compared Wikipedia to Encyclopedia Brockhaus, and Wikipedia's articles were more up-to-date and considered more accurate than the German encyclopedia's articles. Even a panel of reviewers from the Library Journal, which is a journal for librarians who are very skeptical of nearly any source of information that can't be found on a bookshelf, they found that Wikipedia was primarily accurate and up-to-date, and they found that, even more importantly, it was unbiased. Because of the nature of Wikipedia, have people editing it all the time, any bias is quickly removed, so the articles are generally very objective. And on a very controversial pages, like that it's George Bush or Barack Obama or something like that, they make it impossible for new or unregistered users to alter the page so that you can't just go over and screw with the article. And despite being the encyclopedia that anyone can edit, it's very rare for vandalism to stick around on Wikipedia. PC Pro magazine performed a test on Wikipedia. They inserted 10 errors on various pages, ranging from very obvious to incredibly subtle, and all of them were removed within minutes. They then tested it again with more errors as subtle as they could, and again, all of them were removed nearly instantly. In another test, Phoebe Magnus, an assistant professor at the University of Albany, created an account on Wikipedia and inserted 13 fallacies into various articles. And within hours, moderators had tracked his account, found all the errors he made, and reverted them. And because users can see the changes other users make, if you catch a mistake, you can find out who made that mistake, and then track down any other errors they put in to then revert. There's also a tool called Wikiscanner that they use. It was developed in 2007. It's able to match the IP address of those who edit Wikipedia with IP addresses from various organizations and corporations, so they can tell where an edit comes from, and if an edit is in favor of a company or organization, then they can see that someone's trying to insert bias. Like one example of the tool in use, Diebold, which made the voting machines, they had edited their article to remove a section about security issues on their machines, and with the Wikiscanner tool, they were able to tell where the edit came from and then revert the edit. Another example is when a company removed the health risk section on chemical used in making Teflon. And now, opponents of Wikipedia, they're going to cite the example of the Siegenthaler incident, in which John Siegenthaler's biography on Wikipedia was edited as a prank by a coworker to imply that he was the suspect in the Kennedy assassinations. This incident, it was corrected several months later, which is why it's so famous. But this incident, in addition to occurring 3 years ago, it led Wikipedia to then insert additional security measures, made it impossible for unregistered or new users to create an article. It made it difficult to edit the biography of a living person, and it included several other security effects. So basically, Wikipedia, you should never cite it as a primary source, but when looking for background information or something to supplement other sources, it's a very good, very accurate source, at least as good as just about anything else you'll find online. And at the bottom, they have all those links, send you where you need to go. So don't be afraid to use Wikipedia whenever you're doing research. Just make sure you back it up with something else.
Thank you. It was one of those wiki ups.